Good morning. Good morning.
Fuck off Friday.
That's what it is. It's Fuck Off Friday. What is it?
Fuck off Friday.
Beautiful dulcet tones there. Can we all send a huge hug to Marcia Toms? I just saw your comments before we went live, just saying you've been having a tough time. You thought you'd tune in for a bit of happiness and silliness. We'd all love to send Marcia Toms a huge hug and hope you find what you're looking for here, sweetie. We're all thinking of you and we hope you feel a bit better soon. I'm just finding this so I can pop you up again. Let me just lose the volume there. So I can see you all. Can I say good morning, Gillian Barras? Good morning, Faith Goodman. Hi, April. Morning, Tim Reed. Hi, Fifi. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone just send Marcia a lovely good morning hug. There we go, Julie Everts. Thank you. Margaret O'Brien. Marcia, lots of love. No worries, darling. Natasha Tiramos. Julie Everts, Sarah Fox, Gabrielle. Good Trip Lollipop. Good morning, one and all. Let me just sort this out. God, I've been out there. It's so cold already, isn't it? Oh, and the sun is going to glance me. I'm going to have a glancing sunlight on the side of my head. It's Friday. I'm going to be lying. I like to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be lying if I said I felt tickety-boo. I don't. But you know, that's the ebb and flow, isn't it, of the festive period. It's the ups, the downs, the sideways, the diagonals, the inverted, the obverted, the obverse, the inverse, the extra, the unextra, the exterior, the interior, you name it. It's it, and it's its counterpoint too. So, yes, Friday morning. Obviously, rail strikes all over the country, and let's face it, there weren't rail strikes yesterday, but there may as well have been. Christ, the traffic in London was diabolical. Hi, Laura89. You can possibly see we've still got, I mean, it's cold enough for the snow not to go. And yet, is anyone else getting forecasts of about 55 degrees Celsius for this Saturday? And we're all like looking at the weather forecast going, in what world was that normal? Morning, Christos. In what world is it normal for us to go from -4 to 14 degrees centigrade? LN. Boiler broke and -2. Oh, sweetie, that's just awful. I mean, I'm wrapped up warm because I've just got in. Yeah, no, it's fucking cold out there. Excuse my language. I think it kind of deserves just just another little rendition of this, don't you think? I think it deserves. Let's have a bit of this. Gotta get up and do my thing. That's it. That's it. Got to get up and do my thing. Yeah. So, who else is feeling a bit bleh, a bit meh? It's kind of. I suppose it's going into the weekend, knowing it's the last. It's the last weekend before Christmas. I find this staggering, which means, of course, only one thing. It means that Vlogmas is. What episode are we at today? Vlogmas is. Well, we're dazed. I'm gonna have to. What am I going to have to do here? How am I going to avoid the sun? If I go that way, if I go that... Hang on 1 second. Just going to do this. Hopefully that'll last the duration. Number 16, Vlogmas today, which means we've got 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Only 8 more. Have you enjoyed it this year? It's been fun, hasn't it? It's been nice after the previous years where we haven't been able to feature other cast members. See a bit of Dina, see a bit of Lisa. You got a bit more of Lisa tonight as well. Got a fabulous one tonight, actually, a colourful one. And there's a Vlogmas Extra landing today. Foodie for the foodies. So yeah, you're getting a double bubble, as they say, double bubble. For movie fans, as I said, we're going to be doing reactions and all that kind of stuff. But the next weekly rushes will be landing between Christmas, or the final weekly rushes of the year will be landing between Christmas and New Year's. And I was talking to Nanny Di last night, and we will be doing our top 10 films of the year and some of our disappointments of the year. Julie Hilton, hi. Faith Goodman, we are loving Vlogmas. Are Teddy and Betty going to feature from Jordan? Sadly not. They've had all sorts of tech issues there. Poor old Betty hasn't been able to get online as much as she'd like. There haven't been strong enough signals and all that kind of stuff. So it's been frustrating as hell because we were hoping to feature Teddy. I mean, we're still looking into it. I've contacted the King of Jordan and asked and said, look, this is urgent. We need Teddy's talks for the final, was it be the final? Yeah, the final No Name Sunday show of 2022. So, of course, there will be a live No Name Sunday show this Sunday too. I hope you, members, you join Nadia and Dina as they headed off to the pantomime this week. Didn't they look lovely? Didn't they look gorgeous? Didn't they do well? What was the show in which they say, didn't they do well? Was it the Who remembers the Generation Game? Do you remember that with the conveyor belt? Oh, man. Such a simple concept. See what's on a conveyor belt and try and remember it. I mean, that would be really helpful, actually, for a number of kind of Alzheimer's kind of conditions. Keep challenging and using your brain. Nicole, Marcella, loved that show. Julie Hilton, so did I. Two families making total tits of themselves. Wonderful. What not to like? Spinning plates, making pottery. It's way ahead of its time. When you look at the nonsense that's on telly these days. I remember Rosemary Ford. Why does that name? I'm casting my head. I'm going through all the filing cabinets. Rosemary Ford. Was she the... What was the name of the Scottish... Isla St Clair? Who remembers Isla St Clair? Whatever happened to Isla St Clair? She was the one who did the scores on the doors. Was it the scores on the doors? They weren't doors, though, were they? Brucey was a legend. It'd be celebs doing it now, not normal families, because you're lollipop. Yeah, like everything, isn't it? Like family fortunes. Let's just have ordinary family. Let's get back to ordinary... Mind you, does Family Fortunes do ordinary folk? I think it does. Toffs. I'm looking at her. She's festive-ish. I'm hoping she turns a corner for the rest of Vlogmas. What are we going to do when Vlogmas isn't here? What are we going to do? Eh? Maybe there'll be some stuff between Christmas and New Year's for you. Who knows? Oh, that's a fabulous coffee. Anyone else drinking coffee? If so, what sort of coffee are you drinking? Is it a double espresso? Is it a cappy wappy woo? Is it a nice bit of just instant? Sometimes I love the stain that instant makes on the edge of a cup. And when you lick it, it tastes like Marmite. Does anyone else get that? I get that. Anyway, what are we talking about this morning? I'm gibbering away like an absolute idiot. Okay, you can't escape the fact that all over the press, Christos, a double Greek coffee. Wow. Nescafe, Tim. Can't beat it. Harry and Meghan. I know. People can go, oh, God. I mean, someone rang into LBC last night and said, I just don't get it. And I thought Tom Swarbrick, who was the presenter, made a valid point. He said, lots of us don't get it, but it's happening. And it's cultural and it's significant because it's being talked about. It's like none of us particularly wanted to talk about Boris Johnson's parties or thought they were important, but they were important. So I do think what's happening in the Harry and Meghan is important in terms of the role and future role of the monarchy. It very much feels like they've thrown the gauntlet down. I won't repeat what me and Nadia have said in our reactions and reviews to the various episodes. I think that the latter three, the most recent three, we're still midway through episode 6, so I don't want to prejudge. But the feeling is that the last 3 episodes are far more sensational insofar as what's said. It's not necessarily new stuff, but hearing it said in a considered fashion, I do think is a kind of step up from us just hearing it on Oprah. We homed in on a couple of lines in Oprah, whereas here we've got a much more structural assault, I think, or criticism of specific members of the royal family, namely Charles and William. I want to ask a poll question. Should the royal family respond in any way? Should they respond? Like, should they issue a statement? Should they push back? Should the royal family respond? And I think what's happened here is a lot of us have got, and I've fallen foul of this, Nad's fallen foul of this, we get pulled into, is it a sort of Stockholm syndrome that as Brits we've got with the royal family? That you can't criticise them. They're ours. You can't, regardless of whether elements or members of the family, such as Andrew, get up to dubious things, we're very protective of the royal family. And I think we have to ask ourselves, where is that just blind protection, and where is that, where have we been manipulated in a sense? Now, I've read a lot of articles and a lot of people online saying things like, we're only hearing one side of the story. I'd beg to differ. I think what was clearly indicated last night, and it's not news to anyone who works in the media, we've heard the royal family side through the press. So I don't think it is a case that we're only hearing one side here, and I don't think it's a case that we haven't really heard what the royal family thinks. We might not have heard it. I mean, in a weird way, what I'm suggesting is I think perhaps the royal family should respond or could respond in a way that isn't through the British media. That might be more meaningful, because when it goes through the sort of, when it goes through the, the filter of the media, it all becomes contorted, doesn't it, into sort of hate speech and all that kind of stuff. So what do you think? 61%, 39% of you think they should. Jenny J, we haven't heard from Wills and Kate. No, we haven't. William has been dignified and not said anything, and he must be hurting so much, says Gabrielle. Southern Belle, not yet. Wait for book and interviews. Well, Nadia doesn't seem to think that the book... I mean, I think if you do this as a sort of... what would you call it? A sort of aperitif, is it? Or a sort of... what's the start of a meal? A starter. If this is a starter, what's going to be in the book? I mean, are people really going to buy a book about him becoming a helicopter pilot? I mean, it's very impressive, but I don't particularly want to know how to fly a helicopter. What are the publishers going to be selling? How are they going to be selling his book? It can't be just a retread of what we've heard here. And I think this is perhaps where Harry and Meghan find themselves in deep doo-doo. Is not in terms of what's happened to them. It's not in terms of whether they're telling the truth or not. I feel there's a great amount of authenticity to their side of things. I think it would be really nice to get a sense of the other side too. I think we can't say they're just lying. We don't know that they're just lying. We can't sort of cite things like, well, AIDS said she was a pain in the arse in South Africa, because as we now know, how much of that could have been stories planted in the press. We don't know how much we're manipulated by the press, and if our only sense of things is through the press, we can say with no certainty. So in a weird way, they have thrown the gauntlet down. They've said their truth. I've been a big proponent of the idea that I fucking hate that phrase, my truth, because everyone's fucking truth is their truth. What a load of old shit. But they have thrown... Now, where my truths become interesting is when one person's my truth is plonked on the table and another person's my truth is plonked on the table, and you compare and contrast and you find a shared truth. So at the moment, what we've got is their truth. But you can't sit there saying it's just not true. Okay? So I think we can't say how much we've been controlled by the media. But where I do think they've made a mistake, is, and they're going to forever be shot down for this, is the fact that they've done it in this fashion. And if you think that they've now got a book coming out, they've almost industrialized the process. Do you know what I mean? So this hors d'oeuvres, no, it's not an hors d'oeuvre. This is the starter. And so, is the book going to be the main course? And then what's going to happen beyond the book? I mean, I'm curious to know what will happen beyond the series and beyond the book. Because, then we'll get more of a sense of what their sort of game plan is, in a sense. Faith Goodman, siblings shouting at each other is surely something that's happened to siblings forever. Some siblings love each other, but can still have massive arguments, so don't believe Harry was scared. Interesting point. Amuse-bouche, that's it. Amuse-bouche, good ship lollipop. AIPI, I feel like there's so much that they could have said. A direct clarifying response from the palace would go a long way to get them back together. Kind of agree. I mean, I think shared truths. Do you know what I mean? I get so sick of my truth. It's not that one doesn't have one's experience and one's experience is one. But, when I've heard people say, oh, it's my truth, it's my truth. Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's the truth. The only way you can interrogate a my truth is to put another person's my truth alongside it of the same situation and nuzzle out a shared truth, or listen to each other. Find out what parts of your truth aren't truthful and are perhaps slightly jaundiced or a bit kind of compromised by self-interest or perhaps, some kind of defect of character that disallows you from being able to see parts of this. Do you know what I mean? Saying my truth, I think sometimes is a catch-all for being devoid of any responsibility to self-analyse. If I'm honest, that's what I think. So, but there's a difference here. I'm not saying they're not telling the truth. They could well be. But I think that we do need to. I genuinely. I think that they. I mean, I can see 41% of you think that the royal family should respond. I think they should respond personally. I think they should. If I go around here, let me go around here. I think they should. Is that better? Is that better? So I'm trying to get out of the sun. I'm trying to get out of the sun. I seem to have gone in it. If I sit like that. Did you get me? Did you get what I'm saying? Does it make sense? I don't know if anything I said makes sense. Jenny J, let's please talk about Henry Cavill. Cavill. Can never pronounce his surname. Well, there's not a lot to be said, really. Henry Cavill thought he was playing Superman, said he was playing Superman, was told he was playing Superman. Then a new boss at Warner Brothers said, no, you're not. Egg on face a little bit. I feel sorry for him, actually. So, yeah, he's not going to play Superman. Head over to the Popcorn Junkies Instagram to see the full story. So, yeah, Harry and Meghan, just a couple of responses to the Harry and Meghan thing. One American outlet said, this series is like the Kardashians, except it's boring. I have to say, I thought the first 3 episodes were staggeringly boring. And I think when it gets into the lovey-doveyness of their relationship, my God, it's toe-curlingly sick-making, isn't it? But that's different from what they're actually saying. I'm not going to say anything about the Robin Jew Osler. I'm a little bit pissed off about the Robin. Jacqueline Frost, haven't got a clue. Haven't got a clue, darling. Don't know what the fuck I'm talking about at all. So what else is happening in the news? I was driving through Brixton last night when the awful story broke. Well, it hadn't broken, the story, but the awfulness was going on of the potential catastrophe at Brixton O2 Academy. As I was driving along Brixton High Street, there were literally just crowds of people spilling onto the road. I had to kind of swerve round several. There were people lunging out all over the place. It was tricky, and so presumably that must have been the early onset of the crush that has happened at the Brixton O2 Academy. There was a gig going on there. People, if you go onto Twitter, you can see footage of people rushing the doors of the Brixton Academy. I have to say, and so 4 people are in a critical condition in hospital. These crushing incidents are so petrifying. You know, obviously the most notorious being Hillsborough. But, you know, me and the girls went to see Aurora at the Brixton O2 Academy. And as we were filtered in, I'm going to say something. I think there is no way on earth that the foyer of the Brixton O2 Academy would pass a hazard assessment test. No way whatsoever. It was so jammed. And if you lost your footing at all, you could have got crushed just at Aurora. It was hardly a kind of crush sort of gig. So yeah, lots of people looking incredibly distressed and disorientated last night on their phones and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, you know, let's really hope that those 4 people that have been crushed make a recovery or certainly, you know, don't get any worse. As I say, I'm just running through some of the news stories in the papers today. As I say, travel chaos, who's on strike? Train strikes all over the place. You know, which side of the fence do you sit on? Is it the train driver's fault? Is it the government's fault? I think most rational thinking people know it's the government's fault, but of course most rational people are also the people that get impacted by the strike. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? You can support so far, but then what happens? Flu is, there are more flu cases in hospital now than there were or are COVID cases. Flu cases have overtaken COVID cases. So flu is the new COVID. You know, lots of people were saying COVID is just the flu and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, flu. I just want to know, who here has had their flu jab? I'm just going to end that. I keep being asked to take the flu jab. Have you had, no, would you get a flu jab if asked? I want to know if you would get it. I've been asked. I'm not a big fan of constantly jabbing myself, if I'm honest. I obviously do it for COVID, but, you know, flu jabs, Tina? Here's the bit I don't understand about the flu jab. The flu virus changes every year, but the flu jab doesn't. Doctors and GP surgeries get paid to give you the flu jab. So if the flu jab isn't necessarily effective each year, admittedly they'll make some alterations to it, but it's a bit like trying to catch a fly with a net. Do you need it? Do you know what I mean? Would you get a flu jab? Yes, 58%. No, 42%. Yep, had mine, Fifi. Yeah, my mum always says, gotta get the flu jab, gotta get the flu jab. Yeah, everyone. Jacqueline Frost, haven't got a clue. Haven't got a clue what I'm doing, darling. Toddlers should be able to just be children, I think, says Faith Goodman. I've had mine, says Jenny Scam. Okay, vast majority of you. Well, no, not the vast majority of you. 40% of you, 60% of you saying yes, 40% no. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I keep getting texts saying, come and get your flu jab. But it's just a reminder that you're over 50. And I feel like saying, go away. Stop reminding me I'm over 50. So I want to ask you about this story. Let's end that poll. So Stonewall, let's see what you think of this. Stonewall, which is an LGBT charity, has a reading list which is aimed at 2 to 4 year olds. And on this reading list is a book, Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl?, in which the main character prefers to not tell their friends their gender. And I just wanted to ask what you think of this for 2 to 4 year olds. Should this dialogue be happening in children this young? And I don't think it's about not being tolerant of trans. I mean, I wonder whether in 2 to 4 year olds you should be talking about any form of identity at all. Because surely to talk about it at all is to defeat the very purpose of what we're trying to get to, which is a sort of multi-tolerant kind of understanding. Faith Goodman, toddlers should be able to just be children, I think. No, it should. Yeah, I kind of know what you're saying there. Just be kids. Just be kids rather than even boys or girls or anything in between. There's a character in the book that says, Bailey's mother insists her child is a boy. Bailey, what are you talking about? You're a boy. Boys don't wear dresses. Bailey says, I don't feel like a boy. And her mother says, you are one, Bailey, and that's that. And it ends with Bailey, who's referred to with she or her pronouns, fleeing her home and living as a girl. Now, I think the debate about gender is probably right, but making the character flee her home to live as a girl, I think is odd. Elaine Denning, I think it's a complete waste of time because 99.9% of parents will have already told their kids what they are. And also, yeah, the book Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl is by Sarah Savage and Fox Fisher. It's about a child called Tiny who likes to dress up but prefers not to tell friends if they're a boy or a girl. What do you think, guys? Do you think? I mean, I'm trying to work out what I think about this. And, you know, again, it's that thing of you want to be able to have an opinion without people going, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. I personally don't think 2 to 4 year olds should be having to engage with anything about gender, whether they're boys, girls, or not, or anything in between. I don't think so. I think this is something that, you know, children or young adults need to approach. I think it's a completely different kettle of fish if you're teenagers. Yes, this needs to sort of crop up and pop up as hormones kick in and all that kind of stuff. But I think, do you know what I mean? It's Tim Reed sexualised too young. I mean, that's what I feel. I feel it's like, I'm trying to think of an equivalence with race. It's like telling someone, it's like if you haven't even thought about skin colour, and I don't know, say you haven't thought about skin colour at all and you're not racist and you're not any of those things, and yet of 2 people you employ someone of colour, and someone says, oh, you're doing that due to positive discrimination, but you say, actually, I was not even looking at colour, it just so happened that I appointed this person. This is a bit like that. It's like, why put a magnifying glass or even a spotlight on something that really, to most 2 and 4 year olds, is utterly irrelevant? You know, they're not going to be able to handle the complexities of what it all entails. And it's not about encouraging, or because my generation protested against Section 28, which was a law that the Thatcher government brought in that was about not promoting homosexuality in classrooms, and what it really was about was not allowing people to understand that homosexuality was normal. Very different. Toffee not being festive there to Gigi. That's very different. I'm not anti this because I'm anti the, but I just think it doesn't need to be flagged up. I don't know what you think, guys. Jew Osler, terrible. The Lyon fire. I think 10 people have died in the fire in France. Elena Greenmark, Tracy Lynham. Oh, it's all gone dark. Has it? I remember Janet and John Book, says Tina Davis. Christos Andrew, the question to publishers is, though, what's the main objective of it, especially for children of that age? Yeah, I know what you mean. Elaine Denning, a 4-year-old wouldn't be able to point at a picture of a boy and girl and say, I look like that, and then point at a girl and say, but I feel like that. No, true. Caroline Woods, let children be young and free. Don't make them question themselves. We have enough stress when adults about our lives. I agree. That's Chi-Chi having a drink. It's not my bladder emptying onto the floor. Did anyone have an opinion on the David Beckham story regarding David Beckham and Joe Lycett? Is anyone here a Joe Lycett fan? He's a comedian. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. I find him vaguely irritating. I don't know why. I just find him a bit irritating. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but oh, you like Joe Lycett, Pink Lady? I mean, I only ever saw him on one show, which was that art show with, what's his name? Grayson Perry. I just found him a bit annoying. You like him, Elaine Denning? Don't like him, Mark. Small doses. Yeah, maybe small doses. I just find him a bit annoying. I just find him annoying. We're allowed to find people annoying, aren't we? I'm fucking annoying, Jesus. Well, Joe Lycett, obviously, there was this stunt, wasn't there, where he was going to shred £10,000 if Beckham, because Beckham was kind of supporting the Qatar World Cup and all that kind of malarkey, he then shredded money, but then revealed it wasn't really money that he shredded. It was £10,000 that he gave to an LGBTQ plus charity. David Beckham has responded, and David Beckham's statement was, David has been involved in a number of World Cups and other major international tournaments, both as a player and an ambassador, and he's always believed that sport has the power to be a force for good. We understand that there are different and strongly held views about engagement in the Middle East, but see it as positive that debate about the key issues has been stimulated directly by the first World Cup being held in the region. Now, the reason I pulled this story, less about the fact that Joe Lycett is irritating, and less about the fact that I thought, originally I thought it was dubious that people were backing the Qatar World Cup. I mean, as England proceeded through the rounds, it became less and less significant, didn't it? I think everyone was kind of like, what? Armbands? What? Going on the... Fuck that shit. We want to get into the semi-final. But I just wanted to ask, do you think that actually all of the hoo-ha and all of the stuff that happened around this has thrown more of a spotlight over the LGBTQ issues? I mean, someone rather cleverly... I think the USA is hosting the 2026 World Cup. And someone has gone on the... I think Gary Lineker has mentioned that, by the same standards of what we were saying about Qatar, America is a profoundly racist country. There are a huge... I mean, not everyone, obviously, but huge number... they have a huge issue with racism. And so there was a huge question mark as to whether America was the appropriate place to take on the 2026 World Cup. But does anyone think that actually it has thrown a spotlight over LGBTQ issues? Because in a weird way, it's made me think about them, and it's made me talk about them a bit more than I probably would have done. We got... Good Ship Lollipop, did I hear a player from Iran has been sentenced to death for standing up for women's rights? It wouldn't at all surprise me. My Little Peonies, Beckham isn't doing it because he believes in the power of sports. He's doing it because he's getting millions of dollars. Yeah, I agree. And England were knocked out of the World Cup. There we go. And I was rooting for Morocco, and they got knocked out of the World Cup. And I don't know why. There's France. Is it France v Argentina? Couldn't care less about either. So I ain't going to be watching that. And this is a final little silly story. Vladimir Putin, or Vladimir Putin, as the Daily Star keeps referring to him, because apparently he soiled his pants. Vladimir Putin has been named Bellend of the Year. And in a village called Bell End, which is in Worcestershire, they've erected, choice words there, they've erected a statue with him, and on the top of his head is a bell end. It's the end of what I am informed is a circumcised penis. Do look up Vladimir Putin, village of Bellend online, and you will see a statue of Vladimir Putin in gold with a knob on his head, a circumcised penis on his head. The Russian leader earned the gong after obviously launching his invasion of Ukraine. The monument was put up in Bellend, Worcestershire, so that eggs could be hurled at it on Thursday. You could just throw eggs at the statue, which people did so willingly and quite happily. It's been very well received, said someone. So, yeah, there you go. Bellend of the Year. Which brings us to, rather neatly, I'm feeling a little bit poo-poo today, so it brings us to, what does it bring us to? It brings us to... That's what it brings us to. It's the Friday quiz. Fuck off Friday. I'd like to throw an egg at Vladimir Putin. Well, mind you, what a waste of eggs. We've run out of eggs, haven't we? Okay, quiz of the week, guys. Let's have a look at these questions, shall we? Get your pens ready. Faith, hopefully you've got your pencil sharpened. Who is the world... Okay, so, question 1. Who is the world's new richest man? A drop in the value of shares in Tesla means that Elon Musk is no longer the world's richest man. Who overtook him? Was it A, head of Indian conglomerate Gautam Adani? Was it B, luxury goods group Bernard Arnault? Or C, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon? Was it A, Indian multinational conglomerate Gautam Adani? Was it B, luxury goods group Bernard Arnault? Or Amazon founder Jeff Bezos? Give us your answers, please. Silent night, all things bright. Why what are you saying? C. Why is it always the world's richest man? C. It's not C. It's B. God, he's got a remarkable sort of eyebrow. No, it's luxury goods group boss Bernard Arnault. I've never heard of him before. God knows who he is. So that's probably wiped a lot of you out, potentially getting 7 out of 7. Okay, so question 2. MPs warned the UK's spy chiefs about trivialising their work in interviews and social media, referencing the Twitter account of the head of MI6. By which codename is the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service known? Forget all that. Which codename is the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service known? By which codename? Is it A? This is going to get confusing now. Is it A, C? Is it B, K? Or is it C, M? Now, M is in James Bond. So what is the codename for the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service? Is it A, C, B, K, or C, M? I mean, we're going to get into all sorts of problems here. Lots of you saying M. That's James Bond. Lots of you saying C. But do you mean C as in the answer or C as in... Do you mean C as the answer or C as in the number of the question? I can't do this one. This is breaking my brain. Lots of you are saying CM. CM. I don't understand. Oh, CM as in CM. Oh, no. M. Man, B. Whoa, B. There's no. The answer is C. A. The answer is A. Letter C. Does that make sense? The answer is is answer A, which is C. I think that makes sense. Sorry about that one. Question 3. Football might not be coming home. Of course it fucking isn't. Never does. But a stray cat, given which name, was flown from Qatar to be rehomed in the UK after being adopted by the Three Lions football squad. So the football team have adopted a cat. What's it called? A, Dave, B, Larry, or C, Peter? I'm just trying to think of what a bunch of men sat on a flight would call a cat because they think it was funny. I don't think Larry is the name that I can think of. Peter, I don't know, I don't think it's got much purchase, Peter. Peter Purchase. You're right, guys, it's A, Dave. I can imagine, I'd sit there and go, let's call it Dave. Dave. I love a cat with a grown-up name. What's your cat called? Samantha. Samantha, yeah. I knew someone had a cat called Samantha. Question 4. Jin, a member of K-pop septet BTS, that's a 7-person group, one of the world's best-selling boy bands, was in the news this week, but why? A, he became the first member of BTS to release a solo album, BTS being a Korean pop band. He became the first member to release a solo album. B, he began his compulsory military service. Or C, he was replaced by a virtual character generated by artificial intelligence. So why was Jin a member of BTS in the news? A, he released his solo album. B, started military service. Or C, became an AI character. Lots of you saying B. Linda Tyler saying C, replaced by virtual. I wonder if we could replace. Would you like to live on as AI? Would you like to live on as a virtual reality character? You wouldn't feel anything, would you? You wouldn't know you were doing it. He began his compulsory military service. You're absolutely right. B. Those of you who said B, you're right. Those of you who didn't, you're not right. Question 5. The UK has announced it's going to relax restrictions on liquids in airports. This will make Nadia happy. Currently, individual containers are limited to 100 millilitres. Which of the following will be at the limit come the summer of... So what's the limit going to change? Fucking hell, these questions are made more complicated, aren't they? It's written by Tarquins. Which of the following will be the new liquid limit at airports? A, 500 millilitres. B, 1.5 litres. Or C, 2 litres. The UK is now currently individual containers are limited to 100 millilitres, but which of the following will be at the limit come the summer of 2024? 500 millilitres, 1.5 litres, or 2 litres? Tim Reed saying A, 500. It's 100 millilitres now. 2 litres, says Raspberry Mojito Girl. Sorry, I couldn't say your name then. Jew Osler, A, 105. I would have said that they would go up incrementally. Like in our lifetime, it would go up to maybe 500 mil. Our grandchildren's lifetime, it would go up to 750 mil. They take these things slowly. Tarquin Montgomery Smythe. That's absolutely right. Commissioning editor for Factual Entertainment. You're going to be amazed. It's C, 2-litre bottle of water. Question 6. Danny Bluebell, you got it right. Question 6. Officers from the Met rushed to the aid of an apparently unconscious woman, only to discover it was a mannequin. We covered this, didn't we, on Coffee Moaning? But what was the explanation? Why did they go run to the rescue of a mannequin? Was it A, a ventriloquist's dummy, B, a shopkeeper's dummy, or C, part of an art installation? Ding 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 boom 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 do 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 do. It's C. The woman was part of a gallery's art installation. Who's got 6 out of 7? Oh, hang on. Who's got 6 out of 7? I haven't done it yet. Who's got 6 out of 7? Anyone? Before we get on to the last question. The last question. Faith, 2 out of 6. Not a great Friday for you, Faith. I think you need to tell Friday to fuck right off. Elaine Denning, 2. Linda Tyler, 2. Well, it's been a tough one today, isn't it? Fiona Popping Balls Reed, 3. April, 5. Solid 2. Sarah Fox, Tim, 3. Not bad. Pink Lady, 2. It's a 2 day, isn't it? I feel like if I was to put a score on it, I'd say 2 out of whatever. 2 out of 100. Okay, final question. There were tributes to Ruth Maddock, who played the Chief Yellowcoat at the fictional Maplin's Holiday in Heidi High. After her death, aged 79. Terribly sad. But what was the name of Ruth Maddock's character? Was it A, Gladys Emanuel? Was it B, Gladys Lehman? Or was it C, Gladys Pugh? I remember this one well. because my nan and granddad used to watch it a lot. A lot. Heidi, hi. Oh, bless her. What was her character's name? Ruth Maddox's character's name. Lots of you saying C, Elaine, Faith. April Hill saying A. C, says Raspberry Mojito Girl, Good Chip Lollipop. Gillian Barris is saying A. Yes, is it A, Gladys Emanuel, B, Gladys Lehman, or C, Gladys Pugh? Sarah Fox, I know this one. Marcia Toms saying A. Another big hug sent out to you, Marcia Toms. Lots of you saying C. C is the answer. Her name was Gladys Pugh. And there you have the quiz of the week. And I hope you all have a rather fabulous... I hope you all have a rather lovely Friday. As I say, a Vlogmas will be landing later today. Sorry that I haven't been as sort of ebullient and silly as normal. Yes, and what else? There's going to be a foodie kind of Vlogmas extra, and there's going to be Vlogmas, obviously, tonight. And at some point we will be doing a review and reaction to episode 6 of the Harry and Meghan. Otherwise, have a lovely day. Stay warm, or as warm as you can. And of course, for all you members, there will be the No Name Sunday show